Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roach Wiggle, June 22nd, 2023. Misery Part 2. Part 3? Part 4? Yeah. Welcome, everybody who's here. I see we have Jojo Macro, Tennyson also. Maybe I should go back to putting these up a week before pre-scheduling the live streams to get the viewership up. But it's also summer. Everybody's doing things outdoors, I would presume. So, yeah. So, hello, Braden and Hylas. Good to see you both. My last week has just been bug husbandry, cleaning up the bug room. Actually, getting to the point where I am half tempted to actually do the bug room tour if I get everything done in the next 10 days. I'm actually very tempted to. It's sunburn season, says Hylas. That's pretty good. I'm actually tempted to actually finally do it because I just getting a lot of things done. It's been I've been quite miserable, as I keep saying. Where's my? There we go. Gotta get some more heat bulbs. So I gotta get those janky heat bulbs off of Amazon because that's the only ones I can get. These little compact halogen. Whatever, is it a 2-pack? It's a 2-pack, so we'll try. We'll get 2 and see how that goes. Because a couple of my bulbs burnt out in the basement. They tend to like to do it during the summer when I think the air humidity is higher. The bulbs tend to burn out. Or also it could be, since I haven't had the AC on yet, the lack of airflow maybe doesn't keep the bulbs themselves cooled. So they overheat and the things corrode or snap or something. I'm not 100% sure. But so anyways, I'm also going to be eating on this live stream. Maybe I don't know. Angela made me this delicious. It's like a cupcake in a waffle cone thing, and maybe I'll save for after the stream. Actually. But anyways, yeah. So I can happily say that there are only 3 remnants of April auction thing. I mean, there's some loose ends with people I'm waiting to respond to things with substitutions and whatnot. So that I'm not really counting. But there's 3 that the 3 hugest ones that still need to go out, and 2 of them are almost entirely packed. Mr. Zen Monkeys is going to take the bulk of next week, but the other 2 will either go out tomorrow before I leave for up north, or that this upcoming week, since they're almost all packed. Jose Nunez, I finally made a live stream again. Woo! Congrats! Welcome to whatever I have to talk about here. I guess we have a couple of things. You may notice there's some pink things on some of these. I went through and did another round of husbandry for the first time in a month here, and a lot of these need to be refreshed or upgraded to new containers. So that's I did pretty much everything I needed to do downstairs. So now I moved on to the office, and although there's not as many containers in here, it's very dense. So I do have a lot of things that need to be done. All these Arena Vega here need to be, you can see the mic, need to be bumped up with all the pink tape. Need to be bumped up to this size container. So that's something I have to purchase those and do. And I took a lot of the containers that I was just going to completely disband downstairs. Some things need to be. Civ, welcome. Your box went out this week. USPS should have sent you something. Yeah. But I I also wanted to ask, maybe not yet. Oh, also, I didn't say hi to Junior. Hi, Junior. Your order is 2/3 packed, and depending on my energy level after the stream, um, I will. Oh, Tennyson, you got an avatar now. That's gonna be. I'm gonna have to get used to that. Junior, depending on how much energy I have after the stream, your box will either be going out tomorrow morning before I leave for up north, or the following week, Monday or Tuesday. So congrats on the adults, Hemithorsassera vittata, Tennyson. That's great news to hear. I'm trying to think. I was upset by a couple of things, direct results of not being able to do husbandry and not picking up on problems happening in containers before things got out of hand. And let's see, my Analacta took kind of a hit, but they seemed to be fine. They got a little dry and they ran out of food, so it was death central, but I caught it soon enough to, like, any of the individuals that were in fair shape are now, like, completely fine. Stream ends now so Junior can get his box. Hello, Josh Paul. I think this week, between orders and auction wrap-up stuff, about 50 boxes went out. So it's been a week, and again, there may be some that are going to end up going out tomorrow too. It's been quite a bit. 4 o'clocks are blooming outside. The wild 4 o'clock. It's something I don't usually catch. I feel like they don't usually make fertile flowers, but they're blooming right now. Must be the overcast we've had all day. Brain, when you go a month without husbandry, are the roaches only getting missed every few days? For stuff, it depends on time of year. I'm more paranoid about stuff drying out in winter, so I try to mist very frequently here. Zen Monkey, they're late. It's after 7 o'clock. Yes, the 4 o'clocks are just a touch late. But in here, I tried to spray, since it's summer and it's more humid. Tried to spray like once a week, or maybe just a little more frequently than that in here, and then usually a couple times a week during the winter. In the basement, it's been pretty bad between spray sessions, so much so that it's been like a month for some enclosures. But a lot of things are doing fine downstairs. The biggest, most disappointing loss that I had was my Dryma planita just all kicked the bucket maybe in April or March. Just the whole colony just collapsed. I'm wondering if it was air humidity thing or something, because they did very well all the way summer to fall. I think I commented, I finally got babies out of these, the species I keep messing up with. And then that happened. It's very strange because everybody else lost theirs. And then I don't know if anybody still has those, the Dryma planita. So, but they're just there's something. They may be less dry tolerant than other polyzosterine roaches. Oh, Junior, that's good to hear about the Dryma planitas. The other one that's the bottom of the colony basically fell out was the Melanozosteria, which is entirely due to me not feeding them. Like, I was like, oh yeah, they're looking fine. Oh, there's a couple died. I'll just water, and then realize when I checked on them, oh, they're completely out of everything. And so another one that I caught just in time, where if I pull the remaining adults or whatever remains when I go through and double check it, they'll be fine. And watering now might cause a bunch of ooths to hatch. So that's the other thing I'm kind of hoping will go on there. I have no concerns about losing them as a colony, but it's not a good feeling. And then obviously I want to overcorrect with stuff like watering and stuff after that. But for the most part, a lot of things are doing very well right now. Orin McMonagle, Labras cranifer really turned around. I think they were getting too dry during the winter, I think. So I put a polycarb lid on them and gave them some heat too. It was another thing. I gave them heat, belly heat from the lights underneath them, like what you see going on in the background there, and they just exploded. So that's good. all my Blabrus, what we call Colossus, but I have to go through and update the website with a bunch of the stuff. But what we've been calling Blabrus Colossus, those are all exploding too. Like Ecuador, Peru, Panama's just been fine for me all around, but Peru, Ecuador, I had some losses in my locality, Blabrus giganteus, and I think that they're kind of pulling out of that too. So there should be an F1 popping up soon, and I won't worry about it. Alan, has been a long time since I've had species Venezuela females. It's been since all the ones I got from TJ ended up being males. Some of them are still alive, by the way. Some of those males are still alive from last summer, which is pretty crazy. But I didn't have any females in the group. But so I don't know. It's been so long since I've had like a colony going of species Venezuela. I don't really even remember how long it takes. Other good news: Eucharidia, Linglong. Gush of adults. Alan had brought up that there was some sentiment that maybe they needed a diapause or something to get them to mature. I gave them no diapause, and I got them last September, October, August. I can't really remember. So they haven't had any sort of diapause temperature-wise. Maybe light with how it just gets darker in here during the winter time. But I do have that light on over there, like on like a 14-hour cycle. Actually, guys, we're coming to the point where I might be decommissioning that light that's been on since the very beginning of the live streams. I might actually take it down, because the only reason I had it over there was for propagating some cuttings and then for some other miscellaneous stuff. And we're kind of past that. That space has changed and is now becoming more space for sensitive or for prioritized cultures of things in this room. So that light might be gone. It's been there for so long. It's like an old friend, but I might get rid of it. I mean, it's just another thing on the electrical bill. So yeah, I might take it down. Tennyson got some baby masolas. Congrats, Tennyson, again with the air humidity going up here, and I think also the airflow factors in. So the air humidity is going up on average, and the airflow is going down because I'm not running the AC and not running the furnace. Except in this room, there's the airflow from the window being open, but that's probably more humid outside than it is inside. Anyways, a lot of my hissers that were kind of like, I don't know if we're gonna breed, including some smaller groups of some stuff like my LLE mahogany selections for this next generation, and my masolas, babies. Everybody's got babies everywhere. Groundford Rhino Oblongonota, babies. Groundford Rhino species unknown, babies. It's the Princessia, the probably pure strain that TJ sent me, babies. And now I'm really hoping that following this pattern, as Braden brings up here, Androhomana, that pink slips on there because I want to get the Dipteretrum out of there and just make it just the Princessia in there. So I have a feel the female was looking big. She's aborted a couple of ooths over the last year that she's been mature. However, it's been about a year, give or take 2-3 months. So now I've fingers crossed it's a humidity thing. And, I put a polycarb lid on there at the end of winter because I was like, I think they're too dry. I think they want it more humid. And so I did that. Or more, there's still a good airflow, but not the bark being dried out from the air constantly running over, just sort of slowing down the airflow that's in there without making it completely stagnant. And so that's where we're at now. So I have a really good feeling that the Androhomanas are going to start having babies. Hylas says, Alan says, bringing up the Eucharidia situation, it does seem to help some Eucharidia to sing maturation time. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. It could just be that they have natural sort of like buildups to adults and then sort of periods of time where there's not many. With my Thuria, it is exactly like that, at least with Pettivariana, where I will just have, it used to be bimodal. It used to be where in the spring and then in the fall, I would notice a big bloom of adult Thuria species, especially the Pettivariana. And right now, I've got, again, a huge boom of adults. There's like hundreds of adults in the enclosure. And all winter it was like maybe I could find like 10, maybe. And so that's happening. My other Thuria as well. Like I will, for the first time in maybe 5 years or more than that, have like huge colonies of all the Thuria species that are currently available, and I'm very happy for that. And um, it's been a while, and they'll be. It's a great species to have a lot of. It's a great genus to have a lot of. So, but yeah, it might be just that, like, if that's a clade of Caridiids, they might just sort of do that. They might be on a very loose seasonal cycle or just a yearly cycle. Hyla says, I noticed one of the rubber duckies I got from you has orange in place of yellow. Is that a common trait in that line? Do you know anything about it? I've tried pulling a couple of those orangish individuals. I think I came to the conclusion that some of them are trying to molt. That is some of the first stock that was offered of the rubber duckies. I don't know if he wants to be named, but a customer, friend, etc., won those in an auction in like July or August of 2018 or maybe 17, and sent them to me because I was like, if you're concerned about them, send them to me. I'll get them going, and then I'll send you back like double of whatever you sent me or whatever, and give you obviously tips on how to take care of them. So that's what we did. So I got the group of like, I don't know if it was between 10 and 20 of them that they got, and obviously got them started and have kept them in perfect isolation ever since. This is also reminding me I need to send some money to Brandon Maines because they imported the blonde duckies and they were selling them as species blonde ducky or whatever again in 2018. And I try to type and talk at the same time. It's a disaster. And when I first saw them at Tinley Park 2018, the adults were like an inch long. These wild caught ones they brought in were an inch long. They were huge. And I didn't have the money to, or rather, I didn't want to take the risk to pay for them at that time because it was something like 8 for 500 or something ridiculous, or 4 for 200 or something. And so other people got them, and then I was in touch with a couple of people who got them from that first wave of imports. And then what started happening, because everything went to hell in a handbasket after that, around 2019, when people started seeing solid-ish yellow duckies pop up in their species rubber ducky cultures, they started pulling them and either putting them in with their blonde culture or just calling them blonde duckies because, oh, they look the same, they're the same thing. And so a lot of the blonde stock that was then propagated and distributed from there, notice has little imperfections of the gray or purple or whatever color you want to call it, because it's actually species rubber ducky or whatever that locality is, and not whatever these blonde ones were that they bring in that are always solid. You never have any of those imperfections pop up in that in that strain. And so I put a bounty out for those on my website, and Brandon Maines decided to claim the bounty, and so I'm getting those from him, and I forgot I need to pay him for those things. Let's see. I don't have the split attention ability right now to read through his Discord message, so I'll have to do it after the stream and before this weekend. But anyway, so I had not actually seen that yellowish, more predominantly yellowish individual start popping up in the colony until maybe 3-ish years ago. So it's heritable because I have a strain that I've been breeding it out of for that good classic. I have to pick a name for this strain. I will probably release it with a name this fall. I don't know if I'll call it Species Rubber Ducky Classic or something like that. But it will be the perfectly like this, with the solid gray and solid yellow. You know, the what people started going crazy for. I will be releasing that line with some sort of name attached to it to sort of distinguish it from this straight wild stock colony that I have that throws some of these other colors. But it was not, again, it was not common at all. And for anybody who might think it was contamination, those duckies have been, they were first in a gasket sealed container, in a gasketed screen lidded container. Actually, I kept them in with stick bugs. They were feeding on stick bug frass initially, and then I moved them into their own enclosure, which is a gasketed Rubbermaid container with brass microscreen, and everything's sterilized and boiled and all that stuff going into the enclosure. So that is not, there's 99.999999999% chance of any sort of contamination from blonde ducky stock. And I didn't even have the blonde duckies until a couple of years after I got the regular rubber duckies. So Tennyson says my humidity's gone up a bit too. It's now a whole 40%. Yeah, that's what it is in here right now, actually. Josh Paul says, everyone leave the stream now. Let Junior get his stuff, and we can watch Kyle talk to himself tomorrow. Oh boy. Tennyson says my Dipteratrum are also with hissers. Yeah, they do really well. They've done really better with Princessia than by themselves in any situation. But I do kind of want, I will have to pack some of them still for Junior's auction wins. And I also just want to kind of decrease the numbers in there in case they are stressing out the Princessia, because there's only 2 of them. So I'm trying to baby them as best as I can. Tennyson, you need your hissing bin. I really do. Tennyson says, I'm going to separate the hissers from the Dipteratrum when I do that. Again, if they were in with like Portentosa, I really would not care. But it's just because it's these Androhomanas, and I'm so invested in getting babies out of them. And I don't think TJ's gotten babies out of his too, so we're both kind of like, this is kind of important to get a good like F1 from these. Josh Paul says, show us how you pack stuff. Do Junior's package as an example. While I would love to, I can't take this camera anywhere since it's mounted on the laptop. But basically, I get these soup deli container things from Gordon Food Service store. I'm not sure if it's a national chain or not. It's definitely in the Midwest, I think. So I get those. They're like the things you get like carry out soup and stuff in, and they make little condiment containers. I use those as well for things. And I painstakingly, in every single one, ventilate them by hand because I can't find a satisfactory product to do the amount of ventilation that I want in the U.S. So I hand ventilate them with either a bobby pin I've modified a little device that I can stab it effectively into containers, or an ice pick, which has been in my family for like a century now. So I use that for like huge holes and things. It's for packing stuff like Blabberus, Eublaberus, Lubbers. You know, it gives really good ventilation through the whole cup. And then I have, it's like a sewing tool. It used to have like a little tiny hook on the end, but it's basically like a tiny ice pick. It had a hook on the end of the tool, but then I think I took some bolt cutters or some pliers to that and cut off the end, so it would basically be like a smaller ice pick, so I can do more of a mid-size hole for stuff like Simondoa and Diploptera and things like that. And so I ventilate the whole lid of the cup, all the sides of the cup, and the bottom of the cup, and this prevents pockets of moisture from forming that bugs can get trapped in, or that they can get compacted into and smother and get cooked. And with this system that I've been doing for like 15 years now, very low DOAs compared to other shipping methods. And I originally got the shipping method from David Grimm, who runs the Invert shop. I think it's still up, but he was supposedly the old supplier for a lot of the rarer species to James from Blabberus.com, which was a big name when I got into roaches. But he would send me boxes in the dead of winter and in the heat of summer with, completely ventilated. The box would would get to my parents' house and be 90 degrees out, and the whole box would be steaming hot. I'd open up, all the roaches would be fine. I'd get boxes. I remember one year I got a box on Christmas Eve. No insulation, no heat pack, no nothing. Maybe a heat pack, but no insulation. So like the heat pack burns out after a couple of hours after you put it in without insulation. But anyways, no DOAs. And so I picked up on that and I started doing that for my orders, and I do it now. And except in very extreme circumstances, do I have 100% DOAs. Usually an order will arrive with 1 or 2 of something. And that's why I overpack a lot of things as well. So that's my methods for packing stuff, and then I just wrap it up in packing tape, or it's like painter's tape or painter's paper or something. It's like a roll of like brown paper. I just sort of encapsulate everything in that, and I throw it in the box, and I forget about it, and that's how I do shipping without a worry from basically March until like early December, and then there's a small window of time where I have to do installation and heat packs, basically. Hyla says, you think the molting can cause the yellow to turn orange? I think that some of those orange individuals, it might be the overlay of their old cuticle on the new cuticle, and because the old cuticle is sort of a bluish tint and the underlying cuticle is probably like a brighter yellow or yellowish, it appears orange. But again, I've seen some younger individuals with that, which supports the molting theory. And I have pulled a couple of them, but I'm not keeping a very close eye on that situation. I actually have them in little deli cups right now with projects that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get to putting this away when I deal with all these other things I deem to be more important first. So it might be genetic. It would be neat to have them be orange and slate, but I'm not really actively doing that at the moment. Not like I was selecting for the solid colored individuals, which again, I'm preparing to release that. I think I'll probably do a poll of the like best 10 from that line, and then call it, when they produce an F1, I check the quality of that, say, all right, we're going to ship it. Dennison says, oh, my hissing bin is hissers with aficionados. Realize only me and Civ know what we're talking about. I was sent some. Derek Niehaus sent me some pictures of Dalmatian aficionalis in Europe, and I'm excited for those to eventually show up in the U.S. That's a species I feel needs some more love. Braden says, where do you order deli cups and vented lids? I got some on Amazon, but they didn't fit some older lids I had. So sometimes I will use cloth lids. I don't like the cloth lids because roaches and other insects can tear through the cloth and get out sometimes. I get those off of Superior Shipping Supplies, and they have started making some lids with smaller vent holes that I could use for roaches, but I don't feel confident enough in those. There's a price point thing there too. Right now, it's a lot easier for me to just poke the holes in a lot of stuff. In Europe, they have these Cricket boxes that have the perfect ventilation all around them, but I can't find the supplier for that, and I can't get them stateside, so that's a problem. But I would kill to be able to purchase those. It would make my life so much easier to have access to those square pre-ventilated cups. A couple of people have looked for me, and nobody's come through on the manufacturer. Hyla says, have you tried using a heated needle? Your ventilation is definitely the most effective I've seen. Thank you for the compliment. I haven't tried using a heated needle device. The other problem with that is there is sort of an artisanry to it. I have very good muscle memory with it now, but when you use a heated needle or I've tried soldering irons and all this other stuff, you can crack a lot of stuff with that. When I'm stabbing stuff, the needle heats up as it is. Sometimes I'll use a bit of the Roach no crossing stuff as lubrication for it too. Thanks, Photo Gallery, for the recommendation of getting lids from Reptiles to You. Yeah, you ship your reptiles because they get stuff out in a timely manner. I feel their pricing is very fair. There's other supplies I need to get from them. So, Tennis says they are in Russia, right? The Dalmatian aficionados. Yeah, I just saw Derek link me to the Facebook post. I couldn't see if they were actually in Russia, where they were in Europe. But Dynamo Terror, hello, good to see you. Lorraine K. That's a new name. Welcome, Lorraine. Thank you for joining us. Forgive me, I'm a complete beginner. I love Brachycybie lecontii. I got a small colony and put them in a bioactive enclosure with isopods. They one by one disappeared until they were all gone. Why? Brachycybie lecontii they feed almost exclusively on the exudate that's produced by fungus, especially the mycelium. So when you find them in the wild, at least the strain that I sell of lecontii, it's usually by peeling the bark off of like wood or flipping decaying logs, and they will be accumulated underneath the bark or under the logs where there are patches of mycelium that are actively growing. And Brachycybie lecontii, they eat the exudates and they eat the mycelium. It's very, very soft. They have very, very crappy mouth parts that they need to be able to eat that soft food or to lap up the exudates from it. And so if you have them in with a lot of isopods or in an enclosure that has wood that's already rotted and is not actively colonized by the fungal mycelium, you will lose them. They're also a little bit picky about humidity because they don't want to be completely stuffy. What you can have is if you have the humidity too high and you have the fungus in with them, that mycelium can actually creep out too fast and trap or kill the Brachycybie by swallowing them up. And I've had that happen a couple of times. So it's more of an idea of providing a good amount. Like they need to accommodate them properly. They really do need a good amount of space to keep like a colony going. And you have to make sure that that fungus is propagating in some way. I was using Pleurotus with good results for a while. And now I'm experimenting with some other different fungi. And I've been using wine caps, Stropharia rugoso annulata, I think is the Latin. So I've been experimenting with that a bit because it seems like its mycelium is a little bit more palatable to them, and I'm getting some good results. I'm not ready to, go preaching that off the rooftops, but I'm more satisfied with what I'm seeing in the short term from the wine cap mycelium than I am from the Pleurotus for the Brachycybie. Loki, hello. Your order is 2/3 packed up and will either be going out tomorrow morning or next week, Monday/Tuesday. So it depends on how much energy I have after the live stream. So I just wanted to let you know that. Better late than never, says Tennyson. Anybody have any cool stuff to report on or bring up? I have something I guess I can. I don't know if you can't really see anything in here. But I either have babies of, these are some CF onomerus, I should say. Onomerus or Neonomerus, this other genus that Alan told me about that I collected when we were in Auburn. There's none at the sides right now, but I saw some babies of a millipede in here, and I don't know if it's the onomerus or if it's the pergodesmids that got in here with the substrate material that I collected for the onomerus. So I have bred onomerus before. They're extremely prolific, but I have not been able to find. I've not been able to bottle the lightning of whatever caused the onomerus to go crazy the first time I had them, because they went from, like, Alan sent me like maybe 8 or 7 or 8, and by a couple of months later I had hundreds and they just burnt out. So I got a lot of conversation going while I was just talking. Silver says, my lubber started recording for days on end. When can I expect the female to lay? She will start to look uncomfortably large, and that is when. Or she'll start like feeling the ground with her abdomen. And so that's a good sign. TJ, hello. I just got Marullinella species Ember B today. If you can figure out the husbandry for those, I would love to hear what the secret is. If you figure it out, TJ. Tennyson says, have one adult male gyna bisanulata and 2 subadults and lots of subadult cappuccino now. That's great to hear. Loki says, I have my tiny Texan snails. They're eating and hopefully sexing and will lay eggs. Oh, yes, you told me about those. Tennyson says the cappuccino destroy dog food. Yeah, my gyna cappuccino colony is just, it's a monster right now. It's the biggest it's ever been. and I'm very happy for that. Although, again, my Sculpturata are currently the gyna that don't get to be happy as the curse continues of all gyna in the household can do well but one. Tennessee has an adult Caphorum named Casitis. Huh. Lorraine K says, one of my dubias had babies. My bearded Noli is too lazy to eat them, so now they are pets. That's how it goes, isn't it? Dynamitera says, the P. divisa I forgot to get to you have matured. I've seen males and females. What locality was that Dynamitera for those guys? I remember we were supposed to get, they're supposed to do that, but you should get babies without any problems. Oh, Auburn, okay. Civ says, good to know. What should I provide her to lay in? Moist coconut fiber or moss? Something sandy. You can try pure sand if it's yard sand, but you can also split it like 50-50 with coconut fiber to make it a bit more moisture retentive. Eddie has so many ember bees and lots of projects too, high reds, high yellows, and such. Has there been anything like that's been the primary? What do they attribute their success with the Marulinellas to? Like, are they saying they need leaves, they need this, Because I still have the tricolors from last summer or fall. They're still hiddling along, but again, sometimes what is the bottle lightning? What's the thing? Where are you keeping the grasshoppers? I'm getting in. Loki, there are two things in your order that I need to sub out. I can't remember what the other thing is. The Schistocarica did not make it to shipping. Actually, shortly after the auction passed away. So what I was going to send you was a pair or two of the Loxahatchee Orange Lubbers as a substitution. So let me know how that sounds for that. But a glass tank is fine. For a lot of grasshoppers with a screen lid. Jonathan says, everybody's species of firefly. TJ would be the person to talk to about the firefly breeding. I actually need to... Oh, that's a sweet list. Decrolampra. I'm really excited for those Hemiblabra granulata. Taglablata. That's a great list of stuff, TJ. Let me know. Obviously, let me know when stuff's available. Actually, I need to get a box from you in a couple weeks anyways, too. Oh, jeez, it just never stops sometimes. But yes, Jonathan, talk to Invertebrate Dude about breeding fireflies. In fact, TJ, firefly season, we're here. I saw a couple of them the other night. We need a good rain to bring them out in droves, so their season hasn't started yet, but it will very soon. So if you want more fireflies, let me know and I can get them to you. Loki says, also, I'm getting red flat bark beetles from a friend, hopefully. What are those? The Cucujoidea, I think, is the family. Cucujoidea or something. Invertebrate says, Eddie attributes his success with all the Marillinella to high humidity and high ventilation with lots of bark and rotten wood. High humidity and high ventilation. Oh, sounds painful. It sounds like work. Paraplaneta missionary, good to see you again. Carolina locusts are best hoppers. I feel like somebody in this chat bred Carolina locusts. Somebody bred road dusters. I feel like somebody here tried. Or I feel like somebody on the Roach forum posted that they were breeding Carolina grasshoppers, and they said that they had to take the lid off of the big bin they were keeping them in to let them do their courtship maneuvers or something. I really feel like I remember reading that. Most people with success are using foggers. I don't want to keep the dart frog of isopods. It's got to be maybe I'll shift these tricolors to something better, but too much. I'm trying to avoid stuff that's too much work, and that seems like too much work for me. Jonathan Green, River, do you mind if I contact you about breeding fireflies? I've never bred fireflies, by the way. I still need someone to send me adult female successfully. TJ, this year, just keep reminding me, and I will catch you some. It's again now when I see them, I think, oh, TJ wants those. So That's my problem right now too. I can't find any Photinus pyralis females. Yeah, I'll go out at night and I'll look for them this year. And if we get the rain we're supposed to in the next couple of days, it could end up being a good year for fireflies after being so dry. Can't remember if I mentioned it before, says Hylas, but my Illuma Solita are going strong. Feeling good about F2. Let's see. Illuma Solita. Oh, those are nifty. Aren't those from California? Isn't that stock from California now? I'd like to work with those. That'd be neat. I'll get them eventually. I do need I need to order more critter keepers from Amazon because I'm all out of critter keepers. Like my ice pod racks are completely full now, and it's a bit of a problem. Other than like 1 or 2 shelves, like I'm gonna end up having to find a way to fit more ice pods into the basement at this point. Tennyson says, yeah, I mean, it isn't necessary, it just makes it easier as long as high ventilation, high humidity, and such is met, you should see success. You know, the things that need high humidity and high ventilation that I feel like I've worked with or that like Alan has worked with, like some of the flat millipedes, Alan has done a very good job with a lot of those species. So I feel like Alan's setups where it's like you keep it lower ventilation, but like you perfectly manage the humidity so that there's not like condensation. It's just kind of like the air is just kind of in there and there's not a lot of like micro water cycle going on. So Alan might do well with some of those Marulinellas in different setups. And I might actually try some Alan setups for those in the future. Zen Monkey says, I ignore your denial of successful breeding and demand answers. Reduce says, yay, this time I'm using snails for the larval food. I want to breed, I bred thousands of Duroceras reticulatum slugs when they got in with my old Princessia culture. And I had a heat bulb on them. The container was bone dry except for the deep layers of substrate, which was where all the moisture was, and the Duroceras just bred like crazy. But when I was in college, I found one like albino or red-eyed white or whatever the term is, and it was a white Duroceras, and I kicked myself for not knowing how to care for them then, because I would love to get a strain of just white Duroceras going because they'd be an excellent commercial feeder for so much stuff. For like a lot of tiny snakes love to eat slugs, like decay, like specialty snakes like garters and decays and red bellies and stuff. And then fireflies love to eat them too. So like there's a part of me wants to go out and catch some Duroceras and just get a culture going. And there's a part of me that's kind of saving myself to do that till I find another albino. I found a couple of Aryan albinos over the last couple of years, but like Duroceras are just garter snakes. Using garter snakes as a litmus test for how palatable these slugs are. And garter snakes, they eat Aryan, just not very enthusiastically, but they chow down on Duroceras, which is why I'm like waiting for those, I guess. Dynamo Terra has a sea of baby Parkablata virginicas. I'm waiting for my Tuscaloosa virginica to have babies. I caught mostly it was like 15 males and like 1 female. So I didn't see her when I did husbandry, so I don't even know if she made it to adulthood. But I'm really hoping so because I do need those Alabama virginica, since they might be a different species from northern virginica. I'll do some crossing experiments eventually, just like how the northern and southern Pennsylvanica seem to be different species. TJ making some notes on larval preference of fireflies for snails, earthworms, and slimy invert prey. Yeah. Alan is doing well with his Marulinella, it seems. A couple of molts, no losses, so that's good. Fenston says, dry hair has actually become a gift lately now that I'm able to manage the humidity. Got some hygrometers and carefully manage it all, and it's been so easy to keep the perfect humidity in some bins. Yeah, I do it's easier to overwater here in the summer, but the nice thing about having this room be warm and having the window open is that it does give some good airflow, and so I'm not seeing critical losses in a lot of my ectobioid, in my non-blabberid, non-blatted, non-caridiid roaches that I keep in here. Loki says, "Oh yeah, I need to text you pics of my baby garters." Yes, baby garter pictures always appreciated. I'm actually waiting on a patternless Eastern litter right now. If the male that I collected in the spring did the job. Invertebrate Juice says, "Alan, of course you gave them no ventilation." Alan is a master of managing humidity without ventilation. Alan, if there's anything you should ever put on a resume, it's that. Alan just has this amazing, incredible gift for keeping things that otherwise would or should you need ventilation without ventilation. Other than Aaron and Vega. Aaron and Vega really do seem to need the ventilation for some reason. Jonathan Green says, "Yeah, I was going to try white worms and young night crawlers for larval food if I could find a female." Worms foul up containers so bad. Dead earthworms will just become the most rancid, one of the most disgusting smells I've ever smelled in my entire life. Three most disgusting smells: a rotting, dead female Gromphorhina portentosa corpse in a container with no ventilation. One of the worst smells I've ever smelled in my entire life. Chicken, a whole chicken that I was using to bait carrion beetles that I left out in the sun in its packaging. So the bacteria started breaking it down and the packaging just swelled up and it started like a hole burst in it and it started oozing. That's another one of the worst smells I've ever smelled in my entire life. And a container of, it was like after a day of fishing or something, I can't remember the context, but we had a container of night crawlers that we left at room temperature that went fetid, and that was, again, top three smells I've ever smelled in my entire life. And I work with all kinds of disgusting stuff on a daily basis. Those are the top three smells. So in a container where things are actively eating them, I can imagine night crawlers smelling absolutely just the worst if they're being killed regularly and the fireflies aren't eating their bodies readily. Tennyson making some notes on his Vittata enclosure. I am so happy my Vittata have like fully established. I think I'm on an F3 now, and it was a dream species for a while, and they're doing so well. Paleata too. I have like thousands of Paleata. Thank you, Chain, if you're listening to this. I have thousands of Paleata now, and I was right. I did not have a male in my remainder of my colony of Paleata. I added one adult male from Chain's group that he sent me, and now there's hundreds of babies in there. Loki says, "Have you ever kept diving beetles?" I bred one of those really tiny species of divers when I was in high school. I don't know what the Latin is. It was a tiny striped species. I caught it out of like a drainage pond at like a condo suburb complex thing a couple miles from where I lived at like a birthday party. I took a net and I went catching some stuff in this, like, again, like couldn't have been more than 5 years old. So it's like was infested with Phragmites. The American toads have found it. Tons of toad tadpoles. The water's green. And I bred those, just feeding them like bits and pieces of feeder roaches, I think. I never got adults. I just got babies out of them, and I raised the babies, the larvae up, but I never got them to pupate. I never tried to get them to pupate, really. I gave a really earnest effort at breeding sunburst diving beetles. I had a pair from one of the Arizona trips. I think it was the first one. I put them in a 30-gallon high, fully planted aquarium with a bubbler, an area to get out of the water to pupate for the larvae, all this stuff. I dumped in 10 to 20,000 Daphnia magna that I bought off of eBay to feed the adults into this container. And green water, all that stuff. Couple weeks later, when I checked on them, all the Daphnia were gone and no larvae from the adults. So diving beetles need a lot of food. It's going to be a lot of isolating larvae. It's a lot of work for very little payoff, in my experience. But if you're really dead set on doing it, be ready to go and do it with lots of feeders because they eat a lot. Same thing with breeding carabids. They eat so much. Jonathan Green says, worse smell than dead Akita domesticus. Yes, hands down, worse. That's up there. That's in like the top 20, 30, but not nearly as bad as the three that I described earlier. Tennyson says, I don't know why, but the Blackberry species Honduras defensive smell is awful to me. Somebody told, I think it was Dexter Davison from doubleDs.org when he was around, told me that Giganteus defensive smell reminds him of sandalwood. And I haven't actually gotten a chance to smell sandalwood by itself, so I can't say yay or nay, confirm that. I really should seek out the smell and see if I can confirm it. But it's a very body spray-y kind of smell, I feel. There's some undertones of that and like Axe and stuff. I don't like sandalwood, says Tessin, apparently. Loki says, I had a boa regurg a jumbo rat directly on her heat mat and then lay on top of it, so I didn't notice it right away. That was easily the worst smell ever. Yeah, dead rodents are pretty bad, but like, again, I've been using the phrase bottled lightning a lot today. It was the bottled lightning of the horrible smells for the things that I described. With the hissers, I mean, no ventilation. It was warm. They were in the bloat phase, just absolutely disgusting. With the worms, again, out in the hot sun, feeded for a couple of days. But that chicken, again, hot sun, nothing beats the atrocious smell of that rotting chicken. Like the whole chicken in the packaging bag, left out in the sun for days in the summer heat. I mean, I dealt with enough snake regurg that I don't really mind it as much as those other ones, honestly. But that's my opinion. You're welcome to have whatever inferior opinion that you have. So, anybody else got anything new? I should bring up, if Kai ever gets a trip together, there is a small chance I might fly out to New Mexico, Texas in July for like a couple of days to go hunt a couple of very select areas for some bugs. And I guess that's entirely dependent on whether or not Kai organized the trip. I am not organizing a trip of that sort this year at all. I'm not doing that. So if Kai goes there and he's like, oh, if you meet up with me on this day, I'll meet you there. I'll pick you up. And it's like, okay, somebody else is doing all this other stuff, so I'll just hop on board and throw money where needed. And speaking of throwing money, depends on how this auction is doing. I'm going to put a poll up here, actually. So again, as I'd said, I'm honoring the people who participate in the first auction by not having the auction until all of those orders are in the mail to them. But that's going to be next week. Everything, including Zen Monkey's order, will be wrapped up next week. So I'm going to put it to a vote what day you guys would like the mini auction, the upcoming mini auction. And again, the funds for that will be used to pay for the vacation that I'm going on this weekend, as well as a potentially this trip with Kai if it happens. Very good chance it's not going to happen, but if not, I'll just use the money for something else. Obviously, there's a billion things I could be using it for at any given time. So let's see, I'm going to put to a poll. We're going to make a poll. We're going to see which day would you prefer the mini auction to be? Which, I'm going to say date. Which date? So the dates that I'm looking at are June 30th. July 6th. Let's see. Loki says after Wednesday, so my fiance gets paid and I can use his money. Very valid. It's 3 votes on July 6th. See, I was debating. So I can't do the 7th because the 8th is the next expo, and I'm dying on the inside as it is currently. This next week's gonna be, even though I have all the packing to do, I have taken a break from doing on-site received order shipping until July 17th, which will give me time to breathe, get on top of things, and also deal with order shipping from this mini auction that I'd like to do. So I was like, people, are they going to still be in like 4th of July party mode or out of town or not able to attend, not have time off. It's a Thursday night, all this stuff. July 6th, practically my birthday. I mean, that's a fair enough reason. Oh, look at this 50-50 here. I was hoping it'd be more one-sided. All right, I'm just going to leave that up there. We got 12 votes. It's 50-50. 50-50. Oh, my Lord. Also, I think I will be wrapping up the stream in about 5 minutes. Brandon has been here. Brandon came over to feed his frogs and whatnot, and he's been waiting very patiently for me to come and spend a bit of time with him. Do a poll and include no preference. Okay. Although it is nice in this situation to just kind of hold a gun to everybody and say, pick a side. If it's going to be dogpiling on whatever the popular option is, I would prefer that over no preference because it gives me a little bit more direction, even if it is arbitrary. Should do a poll in the auction Discord. I have to figure out how to do that. But that is a very smart idea, Hylas. I need to check in with the auction Discord anyway soon. Maybe I guess I'll do that right now, and I'll do it. Do it at everybody. I guess. Can I do a poll? How do I do a poll? Poll. I feel like I've done it before. Create thread. How to do a poll Discord. Click the plus box. Poll. Seems like somebody's maybe discussing something. Oh, somebody posts a big ol' pre-knit in there. It's always a sight to see. All right, we got ask and everyone, then put a reaction for each day. All right, easy. Big brain at everyone. I will be doing a, air quotes, mini auction in the upcoming weeks. Comment with a if you prefer. What did I say? June 30th? June 30th. Or let's see. We'll do the squirt gun for July 6th. All right, there it is. It's up there for everybody to vote on. And probably Sunday, or maybe it got to be Sunday because I'm not going to be at my computer. Typically do it with emoji reactions. Thank you all you hip, young, learned people who may or may not actually be hip or young. May or may not be younger than me, at least. I'm getting old, guys. I'm going to be 31 in August. It's something. Mini. Yeah, I know Mini. Because originally I looked around here and said, I could have done an auction for like Venezilla Pisum. I completely missed this layer of the shelf that has Eurycotus decipiens on it. But then also it's gonna have been 3 months since the first auction. I'm hip, I am young, I'm 22. It's gonna have been 3 months since the first auction, and so then I look. Oh, Tafaliska had a bunch of babies. I can auction off some Tafaliska. Oh, this had babies. Oh, this millipede had babies. Oh, look, I have pink dragon millipedes now. All this stuff. So I can actually make some other stuff available. And again, I want it to be a mini auction because I'm not letting it get out of control like the spring and fall auctions were. So I don't want to go too overboard. It's not going to be an inventory of my entire collection, but at the same time, I'm sure some people would like an opportunity with rare ice with some of this stuff that's available. So, but it's not going to end up being big because it's going to start in the evening because both of those are weekdays, even though one's a Friday. It's still a weekday. Alan says, your pink dragon's bred already? Yeah, I have like hundreds now. It's pretty crazy. Same thing with the Orthomorpha. And this is also reminding me that before I leave tomorrow, I need to separate the Odontolabus stag beetles because they're paired up right now. And the male has not killed the female, which is nice. My Grantii male was going on an impaling streak. He fatally impaled one female. Again, waited 1.5 years for adults for one of them to just get impaled in the wrong way, and left an impale mark on one of the other females, but she seems to be fine. So I'm gonna probably have to hand pair, unless they've already paired, and his frustration was because he cannot repeatedly have sex with females he's already impregnated. So, so yeah. So there's stuff like that. I think what else is going on here. Megaphasma are mature and have been popping out babies or popping out eggs like crazy. So impaled seems to be fine. Megaphasma have been this group. I have them indoors now. I'm keeping a much better eye on them because they're here in the office. They're doing so much better than they were last year. I mean, they did fine last year outside, but like so much better indoors. You know, I'll show one bug before I go to see Brandon. We'll look at the Megaphasma. Like I go to pick up this female, and the male was just like, "Yep, I'm out of here." So, anyways, Megaphasma dentricus, cedar eating strain, right there. I think I'm gonna start distributing it as cedar eater. But yeah, they're doing extremely well. Whoa, doing extremely well indoors. I have plenty of eggs to share, so this year should be a good year for getting them, more popularized. I'll probably start calling them cedar eater as the strain. And again, feeding on nothing but red cedar. Easy. Should take any cedar, actually. Anything goes to genus Thuya. Please, someone screen cap Kyle's face for a meme. Yeah, go ahead, screen cap it wherever you want. Let the memes flow. So, yeah, I would like these to become more popular. And again, it's a nice native stick bug. Very easy to keep. Tolerates a lot of dryness. In fact, I feel like a lot of my nymph mortality with these guys was due to keeping them too moist over the winter because I was paranoid about airflow, but they're from arid areas already. So, I should not have worried so much about that. I should have focused on keeping the food fresh for them, basically. I'm just being a dink to get Junior's package out. Yeah, and Junior, if you're still there, you're welcome to take your sweet time with my package because I'm just now getting on top of things. So, I thought she laid an egg while we were here. That would have been so funny. It's just a poop. It would have been so hilarious if she popped an egg out while I was just sitting here. But that's all they do. They're just egg-making machines, basically. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this live stream. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. We may have the auction next week, too. I'll probably do a blog post about how my vacation goes. We're going up north. We're going to Sleeping Bear Dunes area, and I think there's pitcher's thistle up there. It's a plant I've always wanted to see. It's a federally endangered species, and I have been longing to just get an eye of it. And I think it's the time of year that it flowers, so hopefully we'll see some. So, take care, everybody. Enjoy summer. We're here. We made it again. We're one day past the solstice, so we're into summer proper. So take care, enjoy the warm weather, and may your cultures ever be bountiful. Bye, everybody. See you next week.